Education and the education of women is an extremely relevant topic in today's society, especially its effect on global societies. The issue we are focusing on most closely, however, is how women's education correlates with fertility rates. Are these two at all linked? Is the relationship causal? What happens when countries implement programs that promote the education of women? The education of women has far-reaching consequences. From our research, we have found that women's education can influence a country's population growth, reproductive health, poverty levels, age at marriage, family planning, structure of the economy, employment, and much more. For our overall topic, we explored the global importance of women's education. More specifically, we looked at the relationship between education and fertility rates for 4 different countries: China, Costa Rica, Lesotho, and India. Let's begin in China.
China is the most populous country in the world, and 48.73% of the population is female. Looking at the age pyramid, however, we can see that while the largest segment of the population is of reproductive age, China's strict one-child policy has led to a smaller number of people in the pre-reproductive stage, indicating that the population growth will continue to slow down. The fertility rate of China in 2011 was 2.8 births per woman. The female literacy rate in 2010 was 93%. Female literacy rate went up by 42% since 1982, a vast increase, while the population growth has been slowing continuously since 1988. From the data, it appears that there is a correlation between education and fertility rates, as the literacy rate has increased dramatically while the fertility rate has been decreasing. But will the trend be repeated elsewhere? Perhaps it is something specific to China. Let us move to another country and see how the data compares. Costa Rica is a relatively small country in Central America with a population of 4.9 million, and 49.23% of the population is female. The age pyramid indicates that the population growth is slowing down, albeit not as drastically as China. The fertility rate in Costa Rica in 2010 was 1.8 births per woman. The female literacy rate in 2010 was 98.67. Female literacy went up by 1% since 1984, and the population growth has generally been decreasing since 1998. It could be, as healthcare increases, the economy improves, and Costa Rica becomes more modernized, the fertility rates of women decrease. Is education a factor here? In 1986, Costa Rica passed a law making primary education mandatory. Literacy rates for women rose steadily from this point, as illustrated in the graph. Fertility rates declined. Now let us look at Lesotho, a small enclave of a nation surrounded by South Africa. Lesotho has only gained its independence from Britain in 1966. Interestingly, in this agrarian economy, the formal sector of workers are mainly females. Generally speaking, are women in Lesotho afforded easier access to education? What are the fertility rates for Lesotho women? Lesotho has a population of over 2 million. 50.81% of the population is female. Literacy rates for women tally at 95% as compared to the 83% of men. Primary education is free, and importance has shifted to making education available and standard for all. Though fertility rates have decreased, the quality of life for women in Lesotho is still poor. Even with high literacy rates and free education, HIV, AIDS, and neglect in regards to reproductive health are 2 of the largest killers of women in this country. In addition to making free primary education available, the Lesotho government is researching and developing a sexual education curriculum that can be accessed not just through government schools, but through religious and cultural institutions as well. India, a vast and diverse country. It is the second largest country in the world, and 48.5% of the population is female. India is a place where any number of factors can be attributed for decreased fertility rate. What do the numbers say here? The age pyramid is dome-shaped, with the largest number of people in the pre-reproductive stage. This indicates that population will keep increasing in the future. Fertility rate is 2.5 births per woman. The female literacy rate was 65% in 2011, going up by 35% since 1981. The fertility rate increased from 1960 to 1978 and has decreased steadily since. Mass sterilizations and monetary incentives for sterilization are common in India. However, the majority of the people undergoing this procedure are women, despite vasectomy being an easier procedure. Recently, one such mass sterilization led to the deaths of 12 women. Along with governmental campaigns for the usage of contraception and the medical termination of pregnancies, there is a gradual move to an emphasis on the role of education as the main method to reduce India's growing population. Despite being a slow process to take effect, education shifts the focus from the quantity of children to the quality of life.
Though it is difficult to pinpoint the exact causes for something as broad as the fertility rate of women, according to the data from these 4 countries, there is without a doubt a correlation between education of women and total fertility rate. As literacy rates go up, fertility rates are seen to drop. Countries are slowly beginning to acknowledge this fact and create programs and policies that promote education. Sex education and family planning are valuable tools that enable women to control their lives and protect themselves from life-threatening sexually transmitted infections. This is important even in countries that have otherwise high female literacy rates. Family planning helps women space out births, improving their health and the health of their children. Education as a strategy for lowering population is slow, as it takes years for educated generations to reach marriageable age. It is worth the wait, however, because education also creates a more stable population and raises countries' GDP. It can be argued that education is a safer and more ethical alternative to population control by mass sterilizations, which are common in India. Educating women can lead to increased personal value and social status, which delays marriage. This improves the quality of life for women and children because children are born when mothers are at an age when they can give birth to healthy children. It has been found that higher levels of women's education correlates with lowered infant mortality rates. Educated women are also likely to make more money and have fewer children, meaning that they are financially able to care for their children. Returning to the questions posed earlier, it has become clear that the education of women and fertility rates are indeed linked. Fertility rates do drop as the level of women's education increases. Regardless of whether this relationship is causal, educating women is still important, as education is a basic human right and is vital towards bridging the gender gap.